Hi, and welcome to our case study on how we were able to bring $1.1 million to a machine manufacturing company by improving their margins. In this case study, we'll talk about the diagnostic process that we performed, the implementation phase that took place, and then how that implementation translated into $1.1 million. Let's jump right into it. So the company had a declining cash position. They could see month over month their cash balance go down and down, and they were wondering why. They had been in business for 5 years and they had high demand with a backlog of purchase orders. And this is critical for this case study. They were viewed as premium by their customers, but they could not grow due to their cash constraints. And they theoretically had no extra capacity. And we were able to confirm this because the equipment had the capacity, but the team did not. They couldn't hire more people because of these cash constraints. So what did we do? Well, we run a diagnostic on their margins and found that, first of all, they had no pricing policy, which led to reduced profitability. They had not reviewed their pricing, leaving money on the table. And this is particularly important by the fact that they had high demand and they were viewed as premium. There were no bill of material updates, no BOM updates, which led to cost creeps. The company had not reviewed its BOM and assumed that their cost was lower than it actually was. There had been no proper client communications, which led to lost clients. After all, if you're pushing the delivery date further and further in the future, some clients might lose their patience and withdraw their purchase orders. There was no sales and operations planning, which led to an 18-month backlog. Now, sales was doing a great job, operations was doing a great job. However, the real problem of the company was cash. Right? Operations was at capacity, but they did not have enough resources to increase that capacity. There were no vendor negotiations since the inception of the company. So this led to reduced margins, leaving money on the table. All right, so to paint a picture of what was happening, we have the original price here in a blue bar, and this was the original bill of materials. However, when we updated it, we got really, really close to the original price. So we had razor thin margins that the company had to operate with. Now, if you add the backlog to this, when you have a backlog, you have carrying costs. You need to store your machines that are not completed, and you have storage costs, you have insurance costs. But most importantly, when you bring incomplete machines back to the shop, you need to reset the factory to start from wherever stage of progress that machine is at. And so that those costs were really, really high. And so overall, the all-in bill of materials, including these carrying costs and setup costs, was above the original price, which led to a loss. Now, where was this loss being covered? How was it being covered? By the company's cash. So this explained the declining cash position month over month. Now, what we did was we increased the price of the company. The all-in bill of materials was kept at the level that included the carrying costs and the 18-month backlog. Ideally, over time, the reduced backlog will reduce the carrying costs, storage, insurance, and also streamline the process so that the reset up of the factory, of the shop, were not that big. And so now the company could operate at a profit, and with those profits, hire more people to catch up. Now, this is at a gross level profit, but now you have money to increase your capacity via your team. So we started out with a pricing policy. We set up a new pricing and an annual review of prices, which brought alignment. You had a premium brand, now priced at a premium price. We updated the BOM, which brought the true cost of operating, of production, which brought clarity. This was a wake-up call for the company that was operating at a loss. We incorporated a communication plan to start with proactivity, right? Every milestone progress was proactively communicated to the clients. which increased retention. Now, it's a lot better to be proactive, even when you have bad news of delays, than to wait for the client to call you and wonder what's happening, and then you give them the bad news, right? This simple transparency act of sharing the progress and even sharing bad news increased the retention of the clients that had already been waiting for their deliveries. Sales and operations planning was properly incorporated as part of the processes of the company, and we set a backlog target reduction from 18 months to 6, right? Which was aligned with the brand the owner wanted to create. His original view was to deliver inside of 6 months. Now, if you're tripling the speed at delivery, you're tripling the speed at which you are collecting money. And so this is not just the effect of, customer service or, delivery times, but also your collections are going to increase considerably. And finally, vendor negotiations that have not occurred, they improved margins immediately by consolidating demand, aggregating demand, and then reducing the number of vendors that were duplicate and sometimes triplicate. Overall, $1.1 million brought into the margins of the company. And let's see how this was broken down. So first of all, we updated the bill of materials to true it up, right? And from this information, we got that the company was losing $150,000 just from miscalculating the bill of materials, right? This is an annual basis. This is not per equipment. Now, the new price, right, that would apply to new clients was adjusted not just to offset the, the, the new BOM, but also to reflect the premium standing of the company and also provide clearly a gross profit that the company did not have. This brought in $488,000 in incremental gross profit for the company. If we subtract the new BOM, the incremental effect is $338,000. Then the new schedule was shared, so every new sale had earlier payments. So the stage payments were happening earlier in order to, first of all, ensure that the company had enough cash to allocate to that new project. And also it improved the client expectations by sharing that timeline, the lead time, the real lead time of the company. Client expectations improved, right? And so this incremental 428,000 are net of the price increase. Okay, so we're not double counting here. This is coming from new clients that were acquired that were paying a little more upfront. We front loaded the stage payments, the early stage payments, and this brought an incremental $428,000. Now these two together slowed the backlog, right? Now this is a good sign, right? You're increasing the price, you're sharing a longer lead time, a backlog to the client, and telling them that that backlog might be fulfilled earlier. And also you're asking them to pay a little more. And it did not stop the backlog, it just slowed it down. And this slowdown was completely offset by the increased capacity due to having more people in the team. So the overall effect was positive for the company. And then finally, vendor negotiations, we aggregated demand and we had a total of $1.1 million in added cash flow. So if you're interested in having a free assessment of your margins, we run this assessment and you get to keep it and you can implement it yourself. But if you like us to implement it, we run a 90-day implementation that has no upfront costs. Why? Because we want to bring the value to you first. Our fees come from the value we create. They don't come from retainers or hourly fees. So if you'd be interested in scheduling a call with us, we'd love to hear from you, learn about your business, about yourself, your goals, and we'll see if we can be of service to you. I hope this case study serves you well, gives you insight, and with that, I hope you're having a great day.